To win the war, the Nazis have developed a secret weapon that turns the dead into zombies. But the weapon gets out of control, starting a zombie apocalypse. In a small village, the locals are celebrating a wedding, but soldiers of the Third Reich spoil the festivities. An officer steps out of a car. The newlyweds ask the boy to give the officer alcohol. The alcohol was so strong that the officer starts coughing, which makes the villagers laugh. After this insult, the officer gives the order to destroy the residence and to scatter blue-colored smoke grenades. At the same time, Jan is sentenced to death, but is saved by his uncle. That's the last time he saves his life. As a token of gratitude, Jan must deliver a letter to Colonel Alarkasu. Jan finds this task too dangerous, but there is simply no choice. Only after the mission is completed will his death sentence be lifted. Along with him will go Private de Cruz, who like Jan received the harshest sentence. Jan notices a wounded friend who is dragged into the train with Nazi symbols. At the first rays of sunshine, the duo begins to carry out the mission. Jan asks to turn to the buffer zone, which is the most dangerous way, but also the fastest. After a couple of hours, they are stopped by an armed squad. The officer orders them to show their documents and then refuses them passage. But Jan threatens with a gun, forcing the officer to let the car pass. After a couple minutes, Jan asks De Cruz why he decided to go to war. He says that in their village the nuns make very tasty pies, and if the enemy took the nuns away, the pies would be gone too. Does Jan have a better reason? Just as suddenly, two airplanes start fighting in the sky. The pilot manages to eject and lands nearby. Jan wants to help the pilot. After a couple minutes, they find the wreckage smeared in blue slime, and the pilot was already dead. Rebels come out of the woods and take the weapons from the de Cruz. The girl finds a letter and gives it to their captain. It says, "You can't win a war without hard balls." It's probably some kind of cipher or just a joke. The sergeant gives the order to return to camp. Suddenly, the pilot comes to life and attacks the photographer. Brodsky throws the pilot off and notices that his hands are covered in blue ash. To stop the pilot, the man opens fire. But even after 20 shots, the pilot is still alive. Only a shot to the head calmed him down. At the same time, an American photographer comes to life and tries to attack his friends. Brodsky grabs the man and breaks his neck. But even so, the photographer is still alive. Only a shot to the head was able to calm the man down. On the way to the camp, he notices loud explosions. The camp has been completely destroyed, and blue ash has appeared on the objects. This is the same substance that was on the pilot. The sergeant wants answers, but Jan knows nothing. The rebels begin to come to life. The private notices his father and tries to help him. It was a big mistake. The soldiers open fire, but there are too many enemies. They have to escape. The Russian realizes that the dead have somehow come back to life. The sergeant doesn't believe it. But then how can people survive bullet wounds? But they didn't notice that there are other zombies roaming the woods. A couple hours later, the group comes ashore. There are zombies popping out everywhere. The woman gives Jan her gun, and Brodsky saves de Cruz. The zombies were too many, and they surround Brodsky. Late at night, the squad notices a hut. Nazi soldiers were hiding in it. Jan shows his uniform and asks them not to shoot. Jan has the highest rank, so they must obey him. The lieutenant says that his squad was ambushed. Almost everyone was killed, but after a couple minutes came back to life. This means that monsters walk not only by the river, but anywhere. During dinner, de Cruz notices Fuse. He is a famous cyclist and even gives him an autograph. But Fuse denies everything. Jan accidentally notices that there is a hidden map on the letter. The house is surrounded by zombies and they start breaking windows. The sergeant asks to run to the emergency exit, but before that, Fuse ignites dynamite and throws it at the zombies. A little later, the squad comes across an electric fence. That's what the Germans were putting up this morning. Among the zombies was de Cruz, and the comrades end his suffering. Jan shows a map. It has hours, minutes, and the rate of advance. Need to try to figure out what's going on? The commissioner agrees with Jan. As they approach the Red Cross, they find the village where the wedding took place. Jan finds a grenade with blue powder, and in a neighboring building was an entire laboratory. Turns out the bride managed to survive. Anna tells me that when the soldiers killed everyone at the wedding, another unit arrived. They locked themselves in the church with huge boxes. After a couple minutes, people came to life. The Germans were watching everything and took the zombies into the church. They had a lot of experiments to do, but someone blew blue smoke and now the Germans had turned into zombies. They tried to fight back, but there were too many zombies. At this time, the commissar finds secret documents and hides them in his bag. The commissar asks the sergeant to go with him to the headquarters and give the documents to the Russians. This weapon will end the war in just a couple of days. The sergeant is against it, so the commissar leaves the church and becomes lunch for the zombies. A nun tells him there's an emergency exit in the church. After going down into the dungeon, Anna turns into a zombie and bites Jural. He tells her not to worry, it's just a scratch. After taking off his shoe, Jural reveals that he was not bitten. Running out of the tunnel, the nun locks the door. She has been bitten and will have to stay. A little later, the squad finds a car. Jan offers to sneak into the Nazi lair. If they invented the virus, they must have a cure. The sergeant is ready to agree, but on the condition that his men must survive and return to their homes. A new day arrives. The squad finds the German base. Jan approaches the guards and asks them to call the officers. An uncle comes out of the tunnel. He says the Russians are developing similar weapons. It is an arms race in which they must win. Jan asks to save his squad, but the uncle does not allow him to enter the lab. A couple minutes later, an officer kills the uncle. De Cruz admits that he was bitten, and before he becomes a zombie, he asks Jan to come to his town and taste the most delicious pies. To turn into a zombie, De Cruz provokes the guards. A fence-destroying grenade falls out of his hand. Though the group makes it into the lab, other zombies rush to the explosion. They break through the defenses. Fuse and the lieutenant are trapped in the car, and to die human, they set the dynamite on fire. Jan finds an officer who injected himself with an experimental serum. He says there is no antidote. They've tested many variations, but they all just slow down the reversal process. The woman eliminates the officer. While searching for something important, Jan finds a friend. A man bites Jan. The woman has a theory that if she gets rid of the infected part right away, the man will have a chance at salvation. At this time, the captain starts the train, and the zombies burst into Jan's car, but they manage to close the airlock. The territory of the experiments begins to bombard. After a while, the squad comes to its senses. Their capsule is miraculously intact. Jan offers to go with him, but the girl has completely different plans. That's the end of the movie. I'll see you soon. Bye.